Right, it's Tuesday. And yes, it's February 2nd, the day that precisely defines the middle of winter. And well, yes, as you guessed, it's Groundhog Day. And that's why we're here. To begin today's festivities, let me introduce a couple of special guests. First, Susan Klutz, Secretary of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, is with us. Secretary Klutz has taken a crash course and become fluent in the language of groundhogs this year, so she will be discussing the weather with Wally when the time comes. The museum's director, Dr. Emlyn Koster, is also here. So please extend a warm welcome to these dignitaries on this important day. So some of you have been here before, and you know it's Groundhog Day, and that raises the question, how much ground would a groundhog hog if a groundhog could hog ground? All right, you've heard a similar tongue twister about woodchucks, right? How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Can you guys say that with me? How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Groundhogs and woodchucks are actually the same animal. In the North Carolina mountains, they even call groundhogs whistle pigs. So, how many pigs could a whistle pig whistle if a whistle pig could whistle pigs? You want to try that one? All right, on the count of 3. How many pigs could a whistle pig whistle if a whistle pig could whistle pigs? Nice, good. Whatever you call them, I can tell you that for the most part, most of the year, groundhogs do hog ground. They're part of the squirrel family and can climb trees, but mostly they live alone in burrows under the ground, and during spring and summer they wake up each morning, climb out of their burrows, and munch on the leaves of plants like clover, dandelions, and grasses. At that time of the year, they weigh about 10 pounds. In the fall, they eat more, much more, and they get fat. I live about 1 mile from here, and last August, we had a groundhog move into our neighborhood. Each day I would hear a clanging in the backyard where I keep a metal trash can that is filled with bird seed. But it's for feeding the birds. But every morning our groundhog would climb atop the can and try to knock it over. He could smell the seed inside and he was hungry. So how fat do groundhogs get in the fall of the year? They add 30% to their weight. That would be like me gaining 50 to 60 pounds in just a couple weeks. Yikes. They top the scale at 13 pounds. So why do they do that? Well, it's because they are preparing for winter. Because in winter, like these days of February, they sleep a deep, deep, deep sleep. So deep that their heart slows down from 100 beats per minute to 15 beats per minute. And their body temperature drops from 96 degrees Fahrenheit to 47 degrees Fahrenheit. Their breathing slows down as well. They hardly ever wake up, and they just live off that fat. Well, that might be a smart thing to do because in winter, plants aren't growing and there's less for them to eat. So do you know what kind of sleep that is called when you sleep right through the cold of winter? Hibernation is exactly right. That's great. Well, legend has it that on February 2nd, today, the day that is halfway between the first day of winter and the first day of spring, groundhogs wake up just for a moment, just to take a peek to predict how long the winter will last. If the groundhog sees his shadow, that is, if it's sunny, then we will have 6 more weeks of winter. If he doesn't see his shadow, spring will arrive early. Sir Walter Wally, our resident groundhog, has been hibernating in the North Carolina mountains. But he has joined us today and will soon make his prediction. By the way, we're excited to announce that the Weather Channel has named Wally to the list of the top 11 groundhogs to watch. I heard that Wally's cousin Phil up in Puxatawney, Pennsylvania, predicted an early spring this morning. But that's Pennsylvania. Besides, many groundhogs would question his accuracy. He's only been right about 45% of the time. By comparison, in the 19 years Sir Walter Wally has been making forecasts, well, he's not perfect either. As any weatherman would admit, North Carolina is a hard place to forecast weather accurately, but he's been right 55% of the time. So that's what we're here today to do. Very soon it will be time for Sir Walter Wally to take a stroll outside to look for his shadow. As we get ready for this report, let me invite our museum's director, Dr. Evelyn Koster, to introduce our next guest. Dr. Koster.
Hello, everybody. When John gives you a tongue twister, it's a little hard to match it, but and it doesn't relate to groundhogs, but can you all say the big black bug bled black blood? The big black bug bled black blood. We have to get a little biological on Groundhog Day, so let's just ask the young scientists in the front, what kind of animal is a groundhog? Oh, we have a rodent. Do I hear any reptiles? Do I hear any amphibia? What do I need to hear? A mammal. And let's list 3 of the things that make a mammal a mammal. Anybody know those? Have hair. Have what? Have long teeth. Longer teeth. They gnaw. They gnaw. How do you spell gnaw? Okay, what's another feature of a mammal? They what? They breathe with their lungs. Other animals do that. Another feature of a mammal. They're born, when you're born a mammal, you are born, yes. And one other thing, your blood, if you're a mammal, is red. Yes, it's red. How about a temperature? Warm. So you're hairy, you're warm-blooded, and you're born alive, and that makes you kind of a mammal. And they give milk. Babies get milk from their mommies. That's another feature. But that's enough getting biological. Now you know what a groundhog is. It's not a hog. It's actually, as John told you, it's related to the marmot family, which relates it to the squirrel, which are pretty common. At any rate, here we are, Groundhog Day, and so it's a pleasure to introduce someone who has taken this duty of presiding over Groundhog Day very seriously. How seriously, you might ask? Well, when she became secretary with Governor McCrory in 2012 of the then Department of Cultural Resources, which has that building over there behind the History Museum, in anticipation of today, she decided she must take over responsibility for the zoo and the aquariums and the Museum of Natural Sciences so that she could really be an expert for this duty which she's been studying for weeks and weeks. And so it's a great pleasure that since the last time we had a Groundhog Day, that this fantastic place called the Museum of Natural Sciences has become part of a new government department because Governor McCrory has asked Secretary Susan Klutz to take over a wider mandate, and that is to put all of the museums and like facilities, the zoo, the aquariums, the state parks, this museum, the History Museum, the Symphony, all under one roof, and that's the new Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. And Susan Klutz is my boss, and I'd ask you to please welcome her, formerly the Mayor of Salisbury, where she did a fantastic job, the champion of heritage tax credits, and the Secretary of the great Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, and a world expert on groundhogs. Please welcome Susan Klutz.
Wow, I am so excited to be here today. On behalf of Governor Pat McCrory and the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, I welcome you all here today. A special welcome to the boys and girls who are here to see Sir Walter Wally. And I will tell you that he would come up here to the microphone and tell you what we want to hear from him. That question, has he seen his shadow or not? But you know what? He's very shy. and he is afraid to get up and talk at a microphone. So he has asked me if he could just whisper his answer to me, and then I will come back to the microphone and I will tell you exactly what he says. Are we ready? Okay, Sir Walter Wally.
We're going to sing first.
Want to sing first?
This is nothing like I pictured.
So I guess one of the traditions we have here is to encourage Sir Walter to tell us what the prognostication is by singing a song to wake him up and get him energized. So with that, let me introduce our museum's own Amelia Cowens-Taylor, who is our assistant head of communication. She also works as an actress in community theater, and she's going to lead us in the Groundhog Day song. So with that, a warm welcome for Amelia.
Hi, everybody. You all can do better than that. I said good morning, well, afternoon, everybody. All right, so I can see all of the pink slips right here, and that means we're getting ready to sing. Are you guys excited? Now, we can see that Wally is awake, but we know he's had a long nap. And so when you first wake up from a very long nap, what do? Do you yawn? Do you stretch? Okay, well, let's do that. Let's stretch. Feels so good. Let's shake out the cobwebs. And now we're going to help him wake up a little bit. He's just sleepy. He's awake, but he's sleepy. And the only way he's going to really wake up is if we sing. So I'm going to sing it first, and then you guys join me, and join me as loud as you can, because, again, we need to wake Wally up again, right? I saw a little groundhog, he came out in the sun, and when he saw his shadow back home he had to run. I wish he hadn't seen it, now I am very blue. There's 6 more weeks of winter for him and me and you. Great! I heard some of you all, I see some of y'all from last year. You all know this song, so let's join me and let's sing it now. I saw a little ground, louder. He came out in the sun. I don't think he can hear you. And when he saw his shadow back home, he had to run. I wish he hadn't seen it. Now I am very blue. There's 6 more weeks of winter for him and me and you. Okay, that was good. Give yourselves a hand. That was good. But let's make it great. That means you all have to sing really, really loud, okay? One more time. I saw. That's what I'm waiting for. And when he saw his shadow back home, he had to run. I wish he hadn't seen it. Now I am very blue. There's 6 more weeks of winter for him and me and you. All right, everybody, I think Wally's ready to give his prediction. All right, I'll turn the stage back over to John and Secretary Klutz.
All right, Secretary Klutz, you ready to confer with Sir Walter Wally? All right, come on over here.
All right. This is not at all what I thought Groundhog Day was.
Okay, now I know. He told me 2 things to tell you. First of all, he said, North Carolina is the best state in the United States. And he said one reason is because we have this wonderful science museum for everyone in North Carolina, and we have one in Whiteville, and we have science museums all over North Carolina, our grassroots science museums, and we have the North Carolina Zoo, so we've got the very best state, don't we? North Carolina, yes. And we have the very best groundhog. But now you ready for the news? What he whispered in my ear? He said, I don't see my shadow. And he said, that's good news because now we'll have an early spring. Great news. Thank you for helping me.
We would like to thank Denise for taking care of Sir Walter Wally in the North Carolina mountains and bringing him to the museum.
That was fun, guys.
We'd also like to thank
That was nothing like I thought Groundhog Day was. I don't know why, but I always pictured the groundhog like coming out of the ground or something. Lots of fun. Thanks for joining us here in Raleigh for Sir Walter Wally. And we're going to get an early spring. So thanks a lot. You heard the prediction, and we're off. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in. You are welcome. That was a lot of fun. I did learn a lot about groundhogs, so that was cool. The guy in the top hat really taught a lot. Bye, everyone.